my name is Jayas and welcome back to my channel. If you're not new here, then you probably know that I have decided to do one of the spin-off Inktober challenges in October known as OC-tober. For those of you who don't know, Inktober was originally one of those draw everyday challenges created by an artist known as Jake Parker in 2009, with the twist being that artists were encouraged to only use pens or other inking devices. In the past 10 years, many artists have branched out to create their own prompt list for this month, with a popular one being OC-tober, a month dedicated to drawing your OCs. Now, there are many different lists for this prompt, and since I often forget about October until it's already October, I don't have a list of my own. Maybe that'll be something I make in the future, but for this year, I'm happily following an OC-tober list created by Chalky Duster on Instagram and TikTok. Since this is going to be the bulk of what I work on for the month, I figured I should plan a lot of my videos around this, including a video that I'm going to drop at the end of the month discussing any and all lore for some of my favorite OCs. And I recently learned that I have a ton, which we'll talk about later. I'm going to be doing a general overview, but if you have a question about how I make OCs, what goes into my process of creating their lore or character design, or anything in general of my silly little babes, be sure to leave a comment below so I can include that at the end of the month. As of recording right now, we are about 17 days into October, and I can't believe it took me this long to consider making a week-by-week recap of my drawings for OC-tober so far. So without further ado, let's get into the drawings that I did for week 1. So, day 1 of this challenge was to draw my fave or main OC. As I mentioned before, I have a lot of them, and my faves have kind of swapped out as I focus on some stories over others. The story that I've most recently been focusing on, and hopefully recognizable to anyone who's been following me for some time, is Kari from my recent webtoon story, Healing Hearts. She's technically one of 2 main OCs in that story. We're missing her grumpy counterpart Raz, but he'll be featured in a prompt of his own shortly. Kari does hold a very special place in my heart though. I always refer to her as my cutesy Grim Reaper, but her character is a lot more precious to me than that. Kari is not your average and certainly not a traditional Grim Reaper. She focuses on grief and relationships, helping her human charges move through losses in their lives and get to a place where they can hope for what's to come. When I came up with the idea of her, it was during a very hard and admittedly dark time in my life where I was going through a lot of loss and didn't always have access to a support system that could help me process everything. In a moment of trying to externalize my grief, I came up with Kari, an entity whose entire divine purpose was to help people like me learn when it's important to hold on to things and when and how to let go. I don't normally draw her this risque, so to speak. Her typical webtoon uniform is a lot more covered and casual to offset how deep she usually has to go with her charges. I couldn't tell you why this was the first drawing that my brain decided to make for the month, but I know I couldn't have started this month without Kari. Day 2 was a lot brighter. I had originally planned on sticking mostly to the OCs I have for original worlds and not my fandom related OCs, but I legitimately couldn't picture any of my OCs in a onesie that would make sense except for my Indigo Park Adventurer OC. To be honest, she's less of an OC in the traditional sense and obviously just more of a self-insert, which I also have a lot of, especially for games that I end up playing. And I know that Indigo Park's player character is technically some guy named Ed, but I just couldn't help but make one for this. I absolutely adored Rambly and the Gang when they first came out. It's technically the first and only horror game that I've officially played on this channel. We'll definitely be doing more in the future though, because I love horror games, you guys, especially when Indigo Park Chapter 2 comes out. Be on the lookout for that. But when this first dropped, I was so starved for content, which is always the perfect condition for making an OC, right? So that's how we started with the somewhat meta OC idea of a low-tier streamer and YouTuber who is absolutely obsessed with figuring out what happened to Indigo Park. She's one of the OCs that I'm going to be talking about in the lore video, so I don't want to spoil too much here, but if you want to learn more about her, you can head to the link below on my channel to get to my Unveil profile, a site dedicated to hosting content for your OCs. I said earlier that Raz would be featured in his own prompt, and here he is. The prompt for day 3 was in my clothes, so I chose something I commonly wear around the house when I'm not planning on going anywhere and randomized which OC would be put into it. Somehow we landed on our grumpy Cupid character Raz, the other main OC of my webtoon Healing Hearts. Where Kari is optimistic about new endeavors, Raz is deeply pessimistic about it and unsure whether humans can actually form true attachment to things. At the start of the story, you get a glimpse into what his life has been like with his current charge, Lynn Winslow, a serial dater and heartbreaker. He can't move on until she does, and he's clearly given up hope for that. If you've been following me on other channels, then you know that he's got an actual outfit for his deity work as a Cupid. However, he's kind of bumming it right now, which is weirdly fitting for the outfit I drew him in. This is my standard Saturday, Sunday outfit for the warmer months. I know the outfit doesn't totally make sense, but like I said at the beginning, I don't usually plan on seeing anyone that day, not even my Grubhub delivery guy, so it's fine. Day 4 was kind of interesting because it's beachwear, and the OC that I ended up drawing for it was another self-insert. This time for one of the Let's Plays that I've been doing for Fields of Mystria. If you spent any amount of time on my channel, you'll notice that like half of my videos are my playthroughs of Fields of Mystria. I'm a huge fan of farming sims with a hint of romance, and this game is right up my alley. My Fields of Mystria farmer does have a few complicated relationships, but the one guy she's sure she's got her eye on is Reese, the sweet carpenter. I know that's probably going to come as a shock to anyone who's familiar with the game, but not my channel, since I know March is one of the most popular bachelors in the game. But if you've been watching that series, and you totally should, you know my character is actually not the biggest fan of March, which is funny because it does seem like the game is determined to try to pair the farmer character up with him based on his and other characters' dialogue options. Still, when she goes to the beach, she only has eyes for his bestie, Reese. March may get kinder as they know each other more, but I like the guys who start off nice to me. I had a lot of fun designing the simple swimsuit for my character to wear. I really wanted to give myself a little beach hat, but wasn't sure how to do that in this style of drawing. This is actually one of my first ever pixel drawings, created in Pixsquare, so I'm still learning techniques and stuff for the style along with the app itself. But I don't think I did a bad job for my first time. I just thought pixel art made more sense since the game features a lot of it. If you've made it this far into the video, first of all, thank you. Here's a secret little passcode for you to respond to so I can give you all of my undying love in the comments. What type of prompt list do you like doing for Inktober? Ones that focus on building your art skills or ones that focus on developing your characters and world building? Obviously, I tend to like the ones that are more OC based. If anything, it just gives me the motivation I need to focus on my stories or build up some hype for it. For instance, with my Webtoon OCs Kari and Raz, the more that I draw them for prompts, the more that I get to better understand them as characters, and the more excited other people get, especially when they realize I already have 3 chapters out for this. I haven't been able to talk a lot about the behind the scenes of my Webtoon much since I ended up having to move this summer, and then my current full-time job became a literal nightmare when it came to asking me for overtime work. But the good news is I have been able to manage some work on it and have gotten my scripting all the way out to episode 6. I debated whether or not I wanted to work on or post chapters as I finished them, but I ultimately decided that I want you guys to have a more regular posting schedule. So that means my plan is to finish the season and then post each chapter weekly. So you'll get like 3 months of steady Webtoon episode content. That does also mean, unfortunately, that it'll be a bit of time before we see episode 4 and onwards. But the good news is when it comes back, there won't be much more waiting you have to do to see Kari, Raz, and their human charges. Also, I can't believe I didn't mention this before, but I'm targeting by either late December of this year, 2025, as of recording, but otherwise it will definitely be in by mid-January 2026. Okay, I know I just promised that you wouldn't have to wait to see more of the human charges in my Webtoon, but actually, I have some bad news for day 6. I chose to draw Kari's current human Vic in the prompt for that day, formal wear, but I didn't realize until after I had finished the drawing that I had forgotten to turn on record time lapse in my settings. I'm so sorry, you guys. I'm still getting used to doing my illustrations in Clip Studio Paint, and I hate that this isn't an automatic feature like in other apps. There will be a few days in the future where I accidentally start the time lapse about like halfway through as well, so not looking forward to missing some of that content, but instead what I have for you guys is the TikTok that I made for this day. Okay, our last day for this video is actually my favorite so far. The prompt was meme redraw, and I came up with so many ideas before settling on this one. If you know your meme game, you probably already know which one I'm trying to recreate, but it'll definitely make sense once it's finished. I was trying to find something that wouldn't completely spoil the story of my webtoon, especially since there's going to be a bit of a wait, as we mentioned, until even the next chapter comes out. But I think this was perfect for explaining the core problem of my webtoon without ruining some legitimate surprises that I have for each of the characters. For some reason, Raz's face in the bottom left corner sent me into such a giggle fit while I was drawing. I just thought it was the funniest thing, and it made me want to go draw all of the other meme redraws like right then and there. But all in due time. For now, we just kind of have to look on in horror like Kari while we wait for the rest of the story to unfold. Thank you guys so much for watching. As I mentioned before, we're already about halfway through the third week of this challenge, so we definitely have more drawings for us to talk about in the future. And if you like this video, and I hope you'll consider subscribing so that we can see more of each other in the future. In addition to doing more of these art, story time, and commentary videos, I also post animatics and lots of cozy gaming playthroughs. If you're interested in seeing me in other places, check out more of my videos here, or find me on some of my other sites here. If you have your own OC and want to commission me, or just want some fan art, be sure to check out the links below. Comms are currently open, and I am working on trying to get verified on there right now, but all status updates will be posted there if you want to follow and know when I drop new packages or reopen something that closed. And of course, don't forget to leave a comment with that secret thing we talked about. Until next time, keep creating, keep challenging yourself, and I'll see you next time in our next creative adventure.